Largo. In my 20s, I drove tractor trailers for a company called Burton Lines in Durham, North Carolina. I wasn't very good at it. My self-destruction demons had me. Only blind luck kept me from killing myself and any other poor suckers who happened to be on the highway at the same time. It was a tough period. I was broke, estranged from my wife and my family. One night I had this dream. I was part of the crew of an aircraft carrier. Only the ship was stuck on dry land. It was still launching its jets and doing its thing, but it was marooned half a mile from the ocean. The sailors all knew how screwed up the situation was. They felt it as a keen and constant distress. The only bright spot was there was a marine gunnery sergeant on board, nicknamed Largo. In the dream, it seemed like the coolest name anyone could possibly have. Largo. I loved it. Largo was one of those hardcore senior non-coms, like the Burt Lancaster character, Warden, in From Here to Eternity. The one guy on the ship who knows exactly what's going on, the tough old Sarge who makes all the decisions and actually runs the show. But where was Largo? I was standing miserably by the rail when the captain came over and started talking to me. Even he was lost. It was his ship, but he didn't know how to get it off dry land. I was nervous, finding myself in conversation with the brass, and couldn't think of a thing to say. The skipper didn't seem to notice. He just turned to me casually and said, "What the hell are we gonna do, Largo?" I woke up electrified. I was Largo. I was the salty old Gunny. The power to take charge was in my hands. All I had to do was believe it. Where did this dream come from? Plainly, its intent was benevolent. What was its source? And what does it say about the workings of the universe that such things happen at all? Again, we've all had dreams like that. Again, they're common as dirt. So is the sunrise. That doesn't make it any less a miracle. Before I got to North Carolina, I worked in the oil fields around Buras, Louisiana. I lived in a bunkhouse with a bunch of other transient geeks. One guy had picked up a paperback about meditation in a bookstore in New Orleans. He was teaching me how to do it. I used to go out to this dock after work and see if I could get into it. One night this came. I was sitting cross-legged when an eagle came and landed on my shoulders. The eagle merged with me and took off flying, so that my head became its head and my arms its wings. It felt completely authentic. I could feel the air under my wings, as solid as water feels when you row in it with an oar. It was substantial. You could push off against it. So this was how birds flew. I realized that it was impossible for a bird to fall out of the sky. All it would have to do was extend its wings. The solid air would hold it up with the same power we feel when we stick our hand out the window of a moving car. I was pretty impressed with this movie that was playing in my head, but I still had no idea what it meant. I asked the eagle, "Hey, what am I supposed to be learning from this?" A voice answered silently, "You are supposed to learn that things that you think are nothing, as weightless as air, are actually powerful, substantial forces, as real and as solid as earth." I understood. The eagle was telling me that dreams, visions, meditations, such as this very one, things that I had till now disdained as fantasy and illusion, were as real and as solid as anything in my waking life. I believed the eagle. I got the message. How could I not? I had felt the solidness of the air. I knew he was telling the truth. Which brings us back to the question. Where did the eagle come from? Why did he show up at just the right time to tell me just what I needed to hear? Clearly, some unseen intelligence had created him, given him form as an eagle so that I would understand what I wanted to communicate. This intelligence was babying me alone, keeping it simple, making its point in terms so clear and elementary that even someone as numb and asleep as I was could understand. Life and Death. Remember the movie Billy Jack starring Tom Laughlin? The film and its sequels have long since came to cable, but Tom Laughlin is still very much around. In addition to his movie work, he is a lecturer and author and a Jungian schooled psychologist whose specialty is working with people who have been diagnosed with cancer. Tom Laughlin teaches and leads workshops. Here's a paraphrase of something I heard him say. The moment a person learns he's got terminal cancer, a profound shift takes place in his psyche. At one stroke in the doctor's office, he becomes aware of what really matters to him. Things that 60 seconds earlier had seemed all-important suddenly appear meaningless, while people and concerns that he had till then dismissed at once take on supreme importance. Maybe, he realizes, working this weekend on that big deal at the office isn't all that vital. Maybe it's more important to fly cross-country for his grandson's graduation. Maybe it isn't so crucial that he have the last word in the fight with his wife. Maybe instead he should tell her how much she means to him and how deeply he has always loved her. Other thoughts occur to the patient diagnosed as terminal. What about that gift he had for music? What became of the passion he once felt to work with the sick and the homeless? Why do these unlived lives return now with such power and poignancy? Faced with our imminent extinction, Tom Laughlin believes all assumptions are called into questions. What does our life mean? Have we lived it right? Are there vital acts we've left unperformed, crucial words unspoken? Is it too late? Tom Laughlin draws a diagram of the psyche, a Jungian-derived model that looks something like this. The ego, Jung tells us, is that part of the psyche that we think of as I. Our conscious intelligence, our everyday brain that thinks, plans, and runs the show of our day-to-day life. The self, as Jung defined it, is a greater entity, which includes the ego, but also incorporates the personal and collective unconscious. Dreams and intuitions come from the self. The archetypes of the unconscious dwell there. It is, Jung believed, the sphere of the soul. What happens in that instant when we learn we may soon die, Tom Laughlin contends, is that the seat of our consciousness shifts. It moves from the ego to the self. The world is entirely new, viewed from the self. At once we discern what's really important. Superficial concerns fall away, replaced by a deeper, more profoundly grounded perspective. This is how Tom Laughlin's foundation battles cancer. He counsels his clients not just to make that shift mentally, but to live it out in their lives. He supports the housewife in resuming her career in social work, urges the businessman to return to the violin, assists the Vietnam vet to write his novel. Miraculously, cancers go into remission. People recover. Is it possible, Tom Laughlin asks, that the disease itself evolved as a consequence of actions taken or not taken in our lives? Could our unlived lives have exacted their vengeance upon us in the form of cancer? And if they did, can we cure ourselves now by living these lives out?